Good morning. I'm George, your host for today's episode of Early Martyrs. Today we're going to be interviewing the famous Jan Hus. Welcome. It's an honor to be here. Jan, where were you born? I was born in 1372 in Husanic, Bohemia, which is in present-day Czechia. Where did you study? I graduated from the University of Prague, where I studied philosophy and theology. As a student at this university, I was introduced to many of Wycliffe's writings. After I graduated, I stayed at the university to teach both philosophy and theology. What did you do after graduating? Even while teaching at the University of Prague, I was ordained a priest and appointed a preacher at the Bethlehem Chapel in Prague in 1402. In 1409, I was made a rector at the University of Prague. Could you tell everyone a little bit about what happened at the Council of Constance? In 1414, I was summoned by Emperor Sigismund to the Council of Constance so that I could explain my acts of rebellion. I hoped that I could present to the council my views about the church. But when I got there, I found out this was just a setup to trap me into recanting. The authorities challenged my beliefs by saying that I would be burned at the stake if I did not recant. I was tried day after day of heresy against the church. After many days, I was found guilty in their eyes and was condemned to be burned at the stake. Before being burned at the stake, I had to go through the ceremony of defrocking, which is a ceremony of unmaking a priest by stripping him down of his clothes, removing each layer of garments that marked him as a holy person. On July 6th, 1415, I was burned at the stake. I was willing to die for the truth, and so did many others. That was a sad story, but we still have a bit of time left. Could you tell us a little bit about your contribution to the church? While being a preacher in the Bethlehem Chapel, I started to read many of Wycliffe's writings, which I later translated into Czech so that normal day people could read it. I also wrote many works, my most famous one being The Church, in which I questioned the authority of the papacy. Another contribution was the doctrines I started, which later emerged during the Reformation. A few years after I was burned, an independent Hussite church was formed, in which they even worshipped in the Czech language. These contributions helped to form the later Protestant church. Could you please tell us a couple of fun facts about yourself? Sure. First, my last name actually means goose in Czech. And another fun fact is that I had a really big influence on Martin Luther through my writings. Well, that about sums up today's episode on Early Martyrs. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, don't be afraid to preach God's word.